Good morning, everyone. This is the Telarus Tuesday call for December 12th, 2017. Another week gone as we rocket toward 2018, but not before the rush of last-minute deals is complete. Congratulations to all of our partners on the exciting year-end opportunities being worked right now. Telarus is anxious to help with anything you need to close those deals in time for the holidays. Let us know. Welcome to our weekly Telarus Tuesday call. I'm Doug Miller, Telarus VP of Complex Sales, joined today by a cast of thousands from Navisite, a Spectrum company. We have Aubrey Malcolm, Mike Davis, and David Ohl with us today. With hybrid multi-cloud IT infrastructure now becoming the norm, organizations are increasingly dependent on multiple solutions for data protection and for a complete disaster recovery program. And today we will hear how Navisite takes a tailored, application-centric approach to disaster recovery solutions while helping clients optimize their DR program operating costs. It's Navisite from Spectrum. They are coming up in just minutes. You will want this information. Also today we'll be joined briefly by Greg Nielsen. Greg is the founder and CEO of Epitome, with a major announcement that will forever change how business is done with Epitome. You're going to like this one. I know I did. Stick around for Greg's announcement. It is just moments away. If you happened to miss last week's Telarus Tuesday call, please take time to review the recording in your partner back office as we welcomed a new supplier to the Telarus family. Adtran is now available to our partners. Adtran's been bringing the world together since 1986. They are, of course, a leading provider of networking and communications equipment worldwide. And now Adtran is proud to transform businesses with their ProCloud brand of cloud management services and their NG, next-gen firewall solution as well. The Adtran launch and training call from last Wednesday is available for you now in your Telarus partner back office. And also last week we were joined by our friends from TierPoint, Channel VP Kenny Ash and AVP Alvaro Gonzalez. They were here discussing TierPoint backup and disaster recovery options as well. You can check out that information-packed presentation from last week's Telarus Tuesday call. It's all in your Telarus partner back office. We want to thank everyone who joined Telarus in Nashville and in Dallas last week for our final two Telarus Innovation Conferences of 2017. The attending partners were certified on the exclusive Telarus systems and tools and received hands-on experience using Telarus intelligence to help build their business. And in 2018, we're changing the Telarus Innovation Conference format again with an even sharper focus on partner needs and taking the conference to even more regionalized locations around the country. Details are coming soon, but you haven't seen anything like what Telarus has planned for the upcoming year. This is going to be big. And there are some very exciting regional events happening in the upcoming days as well. Telarus is hosting Star Wars: The Last Jedi in a series of private screenings for our partners and their families at a number of locations around the country. We will be in Birmingham, Dallas, Austin, Seattle, Denver, and Salt Lake City. We hope you'll come out and join us for this special thank you event. Cannot wait to see this film. Telarus Star Wars: The Last Jedi event. You can contact your Telarus RVP or support manager for locations, details, and reservations. We do invite you to log into the video portion of today's call. We are at telarus.com/start, where you can submit questions and comments on the live chat feature throughout today's event, and especially during our upcoming Navisite presentation. Okay, let's do it. Let's light up the Telarus leaderboard and shine the spotlight on our top 3 selling partners of the preceding week. Some spectacular deals have come in. In this week's third position, Telarus congratulates Daniel Stockman. He's president and COO, and all the team at iTech Support Incorporated from Ocoee, Florida. That's spelled O-C-O-E-E, and they're just about 3 miles northeast of Hogwarts Castle. You use your landmarks, I'll use mine. The iTech support team closed a tremendous sale of fiber Ethernet services from Spectrum Business to a client in the construction industry. Spectrum's dedicated high-performance fiber network is designed for mission-critical data and cloud-based applications. iTech Support proudly offers its total technology support programs based on experience, certifications, and specializations with industry-leading technologies. Congratulations, Daniel Stockman and iTech Support on this terrific Spectrum Business win. And in this week's second position, we congratulate Marcus McGee. He's the owner and all of his team at ClearLink Systems Incorporated. They're out of Nashville, Tennessee. Marcus and the ClearLink team closed an outstanding sale of hosted VoIP services from Vonage to a customer in the commercial utilities industry. Vonage is reimagining how business gets done with their enterprise unified communications, reliable business phone systems, and their Nexmo API platform. ClearLink Systems is Nashville's business technology leader. They consult with clients on connectivity, equipment, and expense management. It's their mission to make each client feel comfortable and satisfied and be recognized as their client's ally in a changing technology world. Congratulations, Marcus McGee and ClearLink Systems, on this tremendous Vonage sale. And topping that same leaderboard this week, Telarus congratulates our longtime friend and partner, Rick Underwood of KDG Consulting out of Fort McCoy, Florida. Rick's been in the news of late as Telarus' first ever Diamond partner, and Rick's streak of consecutive Telarus sales months now stands at 152 with no sign of letting up. Well, here he is again with another stellar month of sales with Nitel. Telarus is now a Nitel Elite partner with all of the associated Nitel resources and support for our Telarus partners. Congratulations, Rick Underwood of KDG Consulting. We couldn't be prouder of your accomplishments and success. Sincere thanks and appreciation from all of us here at Telarus. Once again, our top Telarus sale of the week. We thank all of our partners and suppliers for your dedication, loyalty, and hard work. This, of course, is Telarus' biggest year ever, and we are proud to be your partner. We appreciate your trusting us with your business. Cannot wait for 2018. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I am joined briefly today by Greg Nielsen. Greg is the founder and CEO of Epitome, the standard for everything IP. Well, today, some of that changes. Greg is here with a major announcement and its impact on our Telarus partners. Welcome to our Tuesday call, Greg. Big news, huh?
Yeah, thank you for having us. We're so excited about the relationships we've developed over the year here at Telarus. We've sponsored every one of the TICs and the Partner Summit. We're even sponsoring some of the Star Wars events in some of the markets this coming week. So we've really enjoyed our relationship over the several years since we first began. We've had several acquisitions. We started with the UC1 Communications out of West Texas. They were a Cisco Silver partner. We acquired a company called SkyStream Broadband based out of Denver. And recently we acquired some intellectual property assets from a former Wall Street high flyer, Teligent. They were a multi-billion-dollar telecom company way back in the day, and that included part of the intellectual property assets was their trademark. And so we, I guess, felt a little bit left out with all of the other major companies like ShoreTel going to Mitel and Birch going into Fusion and so on, and we decided we wanted to do the same thing. So we actually have made a decision to change our name. You can go ahead and change to the next slide. Everything about our company is identical. The same ownership, the exact same team, all of the products that you've seen and heard of us innovating and developing in the marketplace are all identical. We've simply changed our name, and it gives us a bit of a greater reach, we believe, with the registered Teligent, trademark. we're able to actually go into some specific vertical markets. One of the most noteworthy that I would like to highlight before I turn time back over to you is some of the SMS platform that we've developed. It's really unique in the marketplace, and if you've not seen it, make sure you reach out to your channel manager or partner account manager at Telarus and schedule something, because it is absolutely going to change the way you sell products to the marketplace. We also have a wide range of unified communication products. We have two major platforms. We have Skype for Business with voice, and that is literally a standalone voice product built around the Microsoft. So it's not an integration, it's actually using that. And then the second is, of course, BroadSoft. So again, we at Telligent IP, formerly Epitome, wanted to tell you thanks for the great year, and we look forward to the future. Just make sure to look for us or recognize us as who we are. Same company, same dedicated staff, just different name.
Greg, this is big news, and certainly thanks to you and everyone at Epitome, because as you mentioned, you have sponsored every event that we've done this year. You've been a big part of Telarus' growth this past year, and we're just thrilled to see the growth in Telligent IP now. I think the name change is tremendous. It really reflects who you are, what you do, and I think the message is being communicated very clearly. You need to check out Telligent IP and their services. You can look them up at telligentip.com. That's the new website, and you've got to take a look at their service offerings. Great solutions for your customers, and they are a huge sponsor of Telarus and our events. Greg, all the best to you in the coming year. Thanks so much for being on the call today. Very exciting stuff.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, Greg. Well, here is a look at this week's training calendar. We've got 4 essential learning opportunities to help build your telecom practice. First up, tomorrow, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, plan to join Broad Sky Networks for special training on bandwidth dedicated aggregation as a service. Now, Broad Sky Networks has always been at the leading edge of wireless technology deployments, and they have done it again. They're now offering true bonded wireless performance, combining up to 4 internet connections on one dedicated channel at download speeds of up to 200 meg and 50 meg upload as well. Now, your clients need this. Check out the training. It's at Bandwidth Dedicated Aggregation as a Service is the name. The training is at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and it's from Broad Sky Networks. And then on Thursday, December 14th, beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Telarus Bridge, we have training from a brand new Telarus supplier. We will introduce you to Convergia, your global technology partner. That's spelled C-O-N-V-E-R-G-I-A. Convergia is part of a global multi-billion-dollar group with a strong Pan-American presence and experience. They've been in the IT market for more than 15 years. Convergia offers voice and mobility, internet, data and networking, cloud services, hardware, and professional solutions and services. They also offer competitive pricing, flexible financing solutions. Overall, it's a differentiated client experience. Come and learn about Convergia. The training happens Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern right here on our Telarus Bridge. And then later Thursday, beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern, you have a choice of valuable training opportunities. First, CenturyLink is conducting their December product release call. CenturyLink has a very wide-ranging set of solutions for your clients, and this special call will bring you up to speed on their latest releases and recent enhancements to their existing product lines. Questions are encouraged, and there's no better source of information on current CenturyLink offerings. The combined Telarus carrier sales organization has qualified our partners for tremendous support and compensation on their CenturyLink business. Prepare now to win with CenturyLink in 2018 by joining their CenturyLink December product release call. It's Thursday at 4 p.m. Hope you'll plan to join it. That happens this Thursday. Your other choice for training on Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern is from AirSpring on their new cloud-hosted key system. Now, this outstanding product brings cloud-hosted, full-featured functionality to small business communications. Many small business clients find themselves trying to manage communications in challenging business environments while struggling with their old end-of-life key systems. AirSpring's new cloud-hosted key system emulates all of the necessary key system features but eliminates the expensive hardware. It provides real-time upgrades to the latest features and functionality, offers 24/7 by 365 premier customer support, and the cloud hosting includes built-in disaster recovery. Don't miss this training, cloud-hosted key system training from AirSpring. It's Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Plenty of additional training available as well on demand in your Telarus partner back office. Thanks to all of our Telarus suppliers, they continually provide the very best in training and continuing education to our partners. Well, each week we pass along some of the best available spiffs and savings offered to our partners as well. Check these three out. First up, a fantastic offer from Comcast Business, a special limited-time Ethernet spiff. It's easy. Any business Ethernet sale of just $2,500 MRC or more with a fiber transport type earns a spiff payment equal to 100% of the MRC. You have to hurry, however. This promotion ends on December 21st or when the allocated funds are exhausted. Business Ethernet sales only. Minimum 3-year contract term applies. It's the Comcast Business Ethernet spiff. Get those big deals closed now. And then second, be certain to consider this opportunity from Sierra Wireless. Simply sell and deploy 25 sites before December 28th. You'll get a 2x MRC spiff. Or sell 150 sites and it becomes a 3x MRC spiff. Sierra Wireless works wherever a cell phone works. There's one bill and one client portal. It's a perfect solution for VoIP and tertiary connections to SD-WAN. Hurry! This spectacular Sierra Wireless spiff expires on December 28th. And finally from Vonage, it's all bait and no switch. I love it when our suppliers just put it on the line. You can cash in by closing a deal with Vonage Business before December 31st. Vonage is offering up to 4x MRR for all cloud deals. 4x! I'm telling you, don't wait until January 1st. You'd be giving up a whole lot of cash. Up to 4x MRC spiffs on cloud sales, only from Vonage Business. Great opportunities featured this week. Many more are also available. You can check them all out anytime at promos.telarus.com. Well, as I mentioned at the top of today's call, it's my great pleasure to welcome our good friends from Navisite, a Spectrum company. We've got Mike Davis, who is Navisite's Senior Cloud Services Engineer and Solutions Architect, along with our good friends Aubrey Malcolm and David Ohl. They are here to talk about Navisite's solutions and capabilities, and we're going to be talking deep on disaster recovery options today. Incredibly important topics with everything that's going on in our industry and in the news. Mike, Aubrey, and David, welcome to the Telarus Tuesday call. Big stuff from Navisite and Spectrum. Couldn't be happier to have you today.
Hey, thanks, Doug. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to address the group here today. Navisite was asked previously by Telarus to talk about our disaster recovery as a service offering. And thanks for the introduction for Mike and David. I'd like to thank them for joining the call. Need some smart guys here. And they're going to discuss the value behind our offering. David, if you'd like to begin, that'd be great.
Yep. Thank you, Aubrey. So obviously a lot more people are talking about DRaaS these days, and it's going to continue to be that way. If you can see here, the opportunity with the growth in the industry between 2016 and 2021 is really large, and it's the reason that all of you should be talking to your customers about disaster recovery. What are they doing today, and where are they going to be going in the future? Can you hit the next slide? As you may know, more and more customers are based on a VMware platform. There's about 500,000 VMware clients globally with over 50 million VMs. A lot of those are still running on-premise. and more customers are looking not only to decrease the amount of hardware that they keep on-prem, but also shut down secondary sites. And as cloud technologies continue to improve, more and more are looking to do disaster recovery and replication to the cloud. It's a more cost-effective model, requires less resources and labor on their side, and it's a more agile and flexible option for them. Sorry, kind of froze here. Just to get an idea of some of the sample buyer and user business cases, what's important to them. On the left, you have a typical vSphere admin that you would see kind of from a mid-sized manufacturing company, maybe around 500 to 10,000 employees. Usually computer science degree, a lot of experience with Microsoft, Cisco certifications. Typically when we talk to them, what they're looking for is to find a solution to replicate their applications from their current data center to another location for disaster recovery purposes. They don't have a lot of time. Money's always going to be tight, and a lot of times their IT teams are getting smaller, not larger. So they need it to be a simple to manage and easy to implement solution. On the other hand, we have a DR architect. So this is somebody that focuses solely on disaster recovery, creating plans, implementing testing. They maybe were using an older SunGuard solution that is starting to come up on contract. They're looking to move to a more modern cloud-based solution to cut down on cost as well as management. These tend to be a little bit larger companies. If they have experts for disaster recovery, that means they tend to have larger IT teams where you can have specialists like that. And they're going to be a lot more concerned with functionality and with the ability to customize DR plans to specific applications. They know exactly what they want to do, so they're going to base their decisions on what companies can provide those capabilities for them. This slide just kind of shows some of the pain points for a C-level exec versus an IT admin. What keeps them up at night? What are their primary concerns? C-level, obviously, it comes down to a lot of investments. Investing in aging on-premise infrastructure gets more and more expensive to keep running and keep their applications up and available to their employees and, more importantly, their customers. A lot of times they are getting smaller and smaller budgets for IT. Their tech teams are getting smaller, and that puts more and more strain on the existing members. And security is a big one now as well. Every week you can look in the news and see there's some new data breach or exploits, ransomware that's going around, and more C-levels are getting very concerned about the security of their existing applications. On the other hand, you have your IT admin who really is just trying to stay relevant, not become a commodity within the organization. They really want to make an impact, and they want to be involved in the decision-making process. All right, can we hit next? Can you hit one more? Sorry, can you hit one more slide over? So here I just want to talk about, what kind of goes into disaster recovery as a service solution. The big thing to know is there's never a one-size-fits-all. Applications are all different and have different needs, different architectures. That really means you can't protect everything with just one simple replication solution to a cloud provider. A lot of times you're going to mix and match different kinds of replication technologies, backup technologies, and different recovery points and recovery time objectives depending on the criticality of your applications. And that's where a service provider like Navisite can really help out. In a lot of cases, we offer a portfolio of solutions and we can work with clients to tailor it to their applications and their workloads. What is this application-specific need, and design a disaster recovery plan around that. We leverage, best-in-class enterprise solutions, and have a team of engineers and professional services that can actually create plans for customers. So if they don't have experience designing disaster recovery solutions, maybe they don't have one yet, or they have one but it's poorly implemented, it's never been tested, and they're looking to revamp that. That's when you can really look to service providers to help, as they have the expertise that a lot of those clients are currently lacking. And with that, I want to pass it over to Mike Davis. Mike, did you have anything you wanted to build up on that slide?
Other than, one of the keys to the disaster recovery as a service space is not only do the customers check the box that they're doing disaster recovery, but the way we're implementing it with these technologies that David is talking about, with VMware, Zerto, DoubleTake, Microsoft, et cetera, the primary, you create a secondary site to recover on an application by application basis, and when you create that secondary site, it's a cloud solution. And so what you're doing is we replicate all that up to a storage account, and then in that storage account, it just, for lack of a better term, it just sits there and replicates from the primary or the source data. So you're not paying for CPU utilization, or you're not paying for memory, you're not paying for bandwidth on the application side. All you're paying for is the storage and the replication bandwidth going back and forth. So it's a very cost-effective way that your customers can achieve disaster recovery solutions around their applications. And again, it's, and I love this application-centric data protection solution slide, just because it is very, when I do, David talked about the previous solutions with companies like SunGard, and I spent some time at SunGard, so I'm fully aware of how they approach it, and it's not a simple, easy cloud-based solution. It's a very complex, very expensive, read expensive into that sentence solution. And the way that these technologies have changed, they're really changing the disaster recovery market, and we're fully on board to take advantage of that. Thank you, David.
All right. In this last one, I just wanted to highlight, as it's a new disaster recovery solution for service providers specifically. If you are at VMworld or read anything about VMworld, you probably heard about it. And the great thing about it, and why everybody's talking about it, is it's a native replication solution that's built into to VMware already. So those 500,000 customers that run VMware on-prem today already have the capability to do it. In the past, it required them to have a second site to connect to and replicate their workloads and applications to. But now they can actually point those replications to a service provider and benefit from that on-demand cloud-based model. So as Mike mentioned, they can replicate all their VMs or some of their VMs to a service provider, pay for just that storage and just that bandwidth. But when they do need the CPU and memory for a test scenario or a disaster incident and they need to fail over, those resources are available instantly. So they can spin those up, they run out there as long as they need to, and then they can replicate back on premise to a VMware environment again, same tools, same workflows, and their VMs migrate back on premise. They stop paying for those CPU and memory, and they just go back to paying for storage. So it's very cost effective. Again, whereas in the past they would have to run a second site, and the costs that go into that, not just having the hardware there, but the licensing, the power and cooling costs, the staff to manage it. it was a big undertaking, and that's why a lot of companies haven't implemented a true DR plan yet, because it's expensive and hard to do. But more and more cloud service providers make disaster recovery a little bit easier and a little bit more manageable for those customers. So that's all I had. Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to add, or should we open it up to questions?
No, and a great job. And let's open it up for questions.
Well, thanks, everybody. Of course, we are speaking with Mike Davis and Aubrey Malcolm and David Ohl. They are here from Navisite, along with Spectrum Enterprise. They are talking about disaster recovery today. Tremendous solutions for your clients, and we want to open this up for a few questions. Let's just hit a couple of the high points again and make sure that we talk about the framework with which we're dealing here. So, disaster recovery from Navisite, Spectrum Enterprise, VMware. Let's talk about Azure or AWS. Is there any association with either of those two? Is it hosted on either of those, or is this strictly a proprietary system?
So,
yes,
go ahead, David. Great question.
Yeah. So as of today, we only provide disaster recovery as a service to our Navisite data centers, to our VMware cloud. We can also do DR to physical hosted servers. However, roadmap, so we currently offer managed Azure services, and in the near future we will be offering Azure Site Recovery to Azure from a customer's data center to our managed Azure instances. So we will be supporting Azure. AWS, I'm not sure where that is in our roadmap.
That's very exciting news as well. Another question from our chat line here. We're getting a few in there. How is failover provided without a VPN or other network connection?
Yes. So it really depends on your DR strategy and plan, your applications, how they're going to be accessed. In a lot of cases, even though vCloud availability doesn't require a VPN for the replication traffic, as it's all encrypted in flight, in a lot of scenarios, customers run things like Active Directory, and in best practice scenarios, they will need a VPN set up to set up a secondary in the cloud side. There are ways to do it without VPN, but it really comes down to how you're replicating your workloads and how you're failing over your traffic. So again, it comes down to the use case. In a lot of cases, a VPN is set up for most customers.
In the presentation, it was intriguing to me. We kept using the term application-centric and focusing on the individual customer's needs and applications as we design, really, a disaster recovery solution. And we tend to think of disasters as just something so unusual, or it'll never happen to us, or something that's just so large in terms of scope. But truly, DR is useful in smaller types of situations as well, where we cannot afford the downtime or the associated loss of data that could occur. Talk to us a little bit about the types of scenarios where this plays such an important role, and the more common scenarios that clients are seeing I wouldn't say every day, but much more frequently.
Cool. Thanks, Doug. So what we're seeing out there, and you're exactly right. We're the big earthquakes, the volcanoes erupting, et cetera. We are seeing actual disasters in places like Texas and Florida these days, and clearly Puerto Rico and others, where those solutions, these are, especially with the floods we're seeing, 3 years ago we had a once in 100 years flood, right? 3 years later we have a once in 500 year flood, and so we're starting to see some of those real world, real big disasters that you're talking about more and more. But the other piece of that is, what does constitute a disaster? Why would a company need to have a secondary site to fail over to? And some of them are as simple as they're moving. A company is moving. buildings, let's say, or building a new headquarters or doing something like that. And so having a second site to fail over to for a 30-day period or a 90-day period or whatever that happens to be is sometimes a very key advantage in a business scenario to keep your applications up and running, so you don't have to worry so much about construction guys hitting a network feed or an electrical panel or something like that, because that's happened. I've had customers where they go in and they're working on something in the basement, and the first thing they do is take a knife and cut through all the networking. I'm sure everyone on the call has heard of that. That's happened. That's a disaster where all of a sudden that you're offline and you need an ability to go in to your and we offer a portal for you. You go into your portal, you click fail over, and you can fail over application by application. So if you only need a certain application up and running, I used to do tiers of applications, right? Or I do tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 applications, and tier 1 always goes first. So you spin up your tier 1 applications, make sure those are working, bring up your tier 2 applications, make sure those are working, and away you go. And you can run on that for a period of time. And so, from moving to construction issues to those sorts of things, those are my thoughts around that and why customers, why it's important to have a disaster recovery site. Because you're exactly right. In the past, it was mostly about, almost like an insurance policy that would never be used. And it's an expensive one. So that's what I'm seeing. David, what are you seeing?
Yeah, no, those are the big ones. Another thing I tend to see, and we're seeing it start to increase a little bit, is a lot of customers start with disaster recovery as a service, replicating to a cloud provider. They initiate some tests out there, run their applications, test performance, get their run book set. And down the road, they're starting to look at, like I said, minimizing the hardware on-prem. They don't want to manage hardware anymore. They're looking at cloud providers. And when you have disaster recovery as a service set up, it's a simple migration at that point. Everything's replicated out there. You can bring everything up, test it out before you do the cutover. You can set it up so there's zero data loss, and it ends up being a migration in minutes or hours as opposed to days. So we also see DRES as more and more a migration tool as well. So not just using the cloud provider for failover, but starting to run permanently out there after they've tested it out for a while.
During the presentation, we breezed past, I thought, a little quickly on the RPO and RTO numbers that were present there. These are huge metrics that we take a look at in talking about disaster recovery. RPO, of course, being recovery point objectives and then recovery time objectives. And Spectrum Enterprise and Navisite have some impressive numbers here. The slide showed RTO of 5 minutes or so, RPO in 15 minutes or so. How standard are those numbers? How reliable are they? And what's been your experience with the speed in which these targets can be achieved?
Great question, Doug. So we throw out those numbers as, I don't say throw them out. We talk about those numbers as very achievable numbers, but as with anything, that's going to depend on the size of your data being replicated, the size of the pipe you have, the latency of that pipe, what the distance is across that, and it's moving packets across that, where there's some acceleration that we do, obviously, but the way that the replication technology works in these platforms is very impressive, because they do the acceleration, the compression, and we're sending those files across. But what we don't want to do is run it in. The other thing I meant to say, was rate of change of that data. So what we don't want to do is get into a scenario where we say, oh, your RTO can be 5 minutes. Well, and your recovery point can be as little as 15 minutes, right? So the RTO, is a time to recover, right? So we can spin up, once the data is at the secondary site, we can spin that site up as quickly as you need it to. From our perspective, once you hit the button to fail over to the DR site or the secondary site, those VMs come up very quickly, and that's what we're talking about with the 5-minute. But it's going to depend on how you sequence that and how you want those applications to come up. So you could bring up your tier 1 applications first, and those could be up in 5 minutes, or maybe those come up in 10 minutes because they're, you might have a monster database that's going to take a few minutes to copy, those kind of things. So it is a function. These numbers are absolutely achievable, and we have customers that are today that are using this that are into a recovery point of a minute even. Not that that's the case for every customer, because every customer is different based on their data types and their transmissions. But going over a VPN, if you have large file sizes, what you don't want to have is a scenario where you start backing up replication sets. And that will happen if you're trying to achieve too tight of a window. Let's say you're copying those files every 15 minutes, and it takes longer than 15 minutes for the data files to replicate over, you're going to start to back up. And so that's something that you'll tune. We'll give you a good estimate as we go into it, but that's something that you will tune over time based on your bandwidth. And to your point earlier, you may find that a VPN connection really isn't going to be sufficient for you, and so you need to stand up a circuit. And that's a little bit bigger, a gig connection or what have you, based on the sizing that we work on together. Those are my thoughts. David, what are you seeing?
Doug, I'd also like to add that this is where our sales architectural team comes into play. When we're looking at these different scenarios with the customers, we will go in and look at their data, look at what they're trying to achieve, talk through the RTO scenarios and RPO scenarios and acceptable policies with them and help create what they need to do, all of the nuts and bolts to put this together. So we will walk them through the process here. So for those of you who don't understand exactly our offering or what we can provide and need some help, we're happy to be there as a resource to help walk your customer down this path and make sure they're on the acceptable limits for their company.
It sounds, Aubrey, as though the partners really just need to get the opportunity in front of their clients. They may not know the specific questions to ask or the design that may need to take place to develop the solution for the particular client, but certainly Navisite can help with that. One of the questions that always comes up in that is taking a look not only at the physical threats that may exist, but many of the clients have elements of their environment that are virtual as well, and disaster recovery really has to be planned for both the physical and the virtual environments. Those are the types of questions that need to be asked and answered in that design process, and where partners, I think, can have tremendous confidence in Navisite's experience and ability to walk through that design, correct?
Absolutely. We're happy to go through all of that with them. We've got a lot of different options, different platforms that will serve on different levels for the types of experience the customer is looking to achieve. But yeah, we will provide all of the resources made available. And one of the biggest questions and easiest questions any agent could ask is, do you have a disaster recovery plan in place? That's first and foremost, and when the answer comes down yes or not yet, get us involved right away, and we will just act as an extension of your agent's handoff, work directly with them, even represent their own company if that's how they choose to have us represent them, and provide all of the sales architectural information and technical acumen that would accompany that.
So plenty of help available for partners. Once that disaster hits, once that event takes place, walk us through the process that happens afterward. Who's on hand to help? What happens next?
Sorry, David, if you could cover this one, that'd be great.
Yeah. So in terms of, what happens in a disaster situation, a lot of it's dictated by a client's in-house processes. In most cases, they'll have a run book, they'll have a chain of command and who can declare the disaster. But through our tools and portals, the customer has access from anywhere to initiate the failover sequences that they've designed. So even if their data center is hit by a natural disaster, they don't have access to their on-prem workloads, they can still access our web portal and bring up all of those workloads that they were protecting. While they're going through that, we have 3 NOCs that provide 24/7 support that they can always call if they need any kind of assistance from our engineering team.
Very good. We did have one question come in just about the relationship between Spectrum Enterprise and Navisite. Would one of you like to speak with that for just a minute and help our partners understand the connection there?
Absolutely. So our partners
Aubrey,
at
David,
Spectrum Enterprise.
Mike?
Hello?
We're here. Can you hear us?
There we go. Okay, now we can hear you. It looks like we lost you for just a second. One of the questions on our chat line had to do with the relationship between Spectrum Enterprise and Navisite. Would one of you like to just provide a little bit of explanation around that to our partners?
Absolutely. So obviously, Navisite is a Spectrum Enterprise company, and we are a part of a larger solution set. And by that I mean we're the cloud team, so to speak, or the cloud arm of the Spectrum Enterprise group. The data centers that Navisite has in at least 2 of them in Andover, Massachusetts, and in Santa Clara, California, are on net with the Spectrum Enterprise network. So your customers, if you have Spectrum customers out there, we can route you into a Navisite data center on net, which is a huge advantage for us. If you are not on the Spectrum Enterprise network, we are a carrier-neutral facility as well. So we can, we have many providers that come into these data centers just to provide that scalability and uptime that we require. So from that perspective, on the sales side of that, I'll say that the Spectrum Enterprise team and the Navisite sales team work together when we have joint customers. There's no issues there. And, so that's essentially what that looks like. Navisite, we have some unique, given where we're at in the service provider space, we have some unique contract requirements that we work with. So there's potential for, if you're a Spectrum customer, you may have to go through a separate contracting process, but that's, I don't know if I answered your question, Doug, but that's kind of I'll let Aubrey.
Yeah, Doug, I'd like to add, so Navisite as a whole, like Mike mentioned, is the cloud extension, more or less, of Spectrum. So the business side deals with the fiber, coax, et cetera. The enterprise side deals with co-location, cloud services. We have a Microsoft practice, so Office 365 migrations, Azure plays, and then we have our own NCD cloud deployment. So Navisite as a whole deals with all of the different cloud opportunities your customers could run up against. Today we were asked to discuss the disaster recovery plan, but Navisite is all-encompassing of everything cloud at this time.
And we might add also that Navisite actually, I don't know if specializes is the term, but they certainly have a very robust offering for higher education, for healthcare providers, and so many of these industries where disaster recovery isn't just a desired item to have, it's a required item to have.
Correct. Navisite as a whole has been around over 20 years. and was a Time Warner Cable company, and then Spectrum picked them up with the acquisition of Time Warner Cable. So Navisite's been in this line of work in this field for a long time, over 13 years doing exchange offerings, hosted exchange. So we've got quite a backing behind us, and we've been in this market for an awfully long time.
Well, fantastic opportunities for our partners to speak with their clients about disaster recovery becoming more and more of a need each and every day. I think it's going to be a huge part of our business in 2018, certainly something that Telarus will be emphasizing, and I'm certain our partners will as well. Thank you all for being on the call today. Tremendous information. This is Navisite Disaster Recovery Options. Of course, they are part of Spectrum Enterprise. David, Michael, Aubrey, I'll give you the last word here.
No, I appreciate everybody's time, and please don't hesitate to reach out to us or me. My information is in the Telarus back office. Anybody here can get it for you, but if you have any questions or you ask the question about disaster recovery and don't know quite how to answer, please involve us in the opportunities. We're happy to, walk you through any scenario and provide all the appropriate resources and customize a fit for your customer. In the disaster recovery space, but also cloud services, Office 365, Microsoft plays as well. Really appreciate your time and the relationship that Spectrum and Navisite have with Telarus, and appreciate the opportunity to be on this call. So thanks so much, Doug, and appreciate all of your time.
Well, thanks to the three of you, Mike Davis, David Ohl, and Aubrey Malcolm from Navisite from Spectrum Enterprise. You can check out more information about Navisite's offering in our Telarus partner back office, and you can also check their website at navisite.com. That's Navisite. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining today's call, and come and join us this week again for those special pre-screenings of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. We are in Birmingham, Dallas, Austin, Seattle, Denver, and Salt Lake City this coming weekend. Contact your Telarus RVP or support manager for details, and we'll be back next Tuesday with more. Till then, I'm Doug Miller, the voice of Telarus. Have a great selling week, everyone.